Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to SSBCrack Exams. I'm Anuradha and I am back with the last revision class for your NDA 1 2022 exam, which is going to happen on 10th of April, that is this Sunday. So all of you must be feeling a bit scared about the exam, which is just around the corner. But don't worry, guys, because I can see for so long we have been practicing around more than 1000 MCQ questions only from the English section for your NDA 1 2022, and all of you have been answering correctly. So it was really lovely to see all of you guys are answering all correctly, and that helped me to understand how prepared you are. So nothing to worry about. अगर आपको डर लग रहा है तो डरने की कोई बात नहीं है. I hope I'm properly visible and audible to all of you. Can you once confirm? And we're going to start with today's session, which is on comprehension. काफ़ी easy section ये particular topic है और questions आते हैं इस particular topic से. Okay, so फटाफट से join हो जाओ guys. It's already 5. We're going to start with the class today. Comprehension मतलब passage पढ़ना पड़ता है और आंसर करनी पड़ती है. As simple as that. और comprehension हम लोग स्कूल से करते आ रहे हैं तो it's a very very easy thing that you need to solve in your NDA 1 2022 exam as well. Good afternoon, Surya, Pradeep, Alek, Shaurya, Anish. फटाफट से join हो जाओ guys. As you are joining, please like and share this particular session with everyone else who are preparing for the same examination. और आज जो है last revision class है क्योंकि comprehension हमारा आखिरी topic था. From Thursday onwards, that is परसों से we will be starting with the Mahamarathon sessions. ठीक है, 3 दिन चलेगा. 7th, 8th and 9th of April we will have Mahamarathon sessions in the evenings. Okay, so it will start from 4 p.m. itself and it will go long. एक के बाद एक we are going to make you solve questions from the different papers from where the questions will be asked in your NDA 1 2022. ठीक है, तो कल कोई क्लास नहीं होगा NDA 1 2022 का. ठीक है, वी विल हैव महामैराथन सेशन फ्रॉम थर्सडे से मैराथन स्टार्ट होगा. तो आप लोग अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस और रिवाइज जितना भी करना है वो कर लीजिएगा. थर्सडे बिल्कुल तैयार होके आ जाइएगा. ओके, सो दोज ऑफ यू हु आर न्यू उनके लिए मैं बता देना चाहती हूँ दैट SSBCrack Exams, if you don't know, I don't think there is anyone who doesn't know about us because we are India's #1 portal for all defense aspirant. अगर आप एक सीरियस डिफेंस एस्पिरेंट हो, सिर्फ NDA नहीं बाकी कोई भी एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर करना चाहते हैं तो हमारे कोर्सेज को एनरोल हो जाइए बाय डाउनलोडिंग आवर SSBCrack Exams ऐप फ्रॉम द गूगल प्ले स्टोर. हमारे ऐप में आपको मिलेंगे सारे कोर्सेज और उन कोर्सेज में मिलेंगे वीडियो लेक्चर्स, PDF स्टडी नोट्स विच यू विल गेट एज पर द अपडेटेड सिलेबस एंड ऑल्सो यू गेट टू एक्सेस द लेक्चर्स एंड स्टडी नोट्स इन ऑफलाइन मोड एज वेल. मॉक टेस्ट भी आपको मिलेंगे जिससे आप प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं, प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं एक्चुअल एग्जाम के लिए. और आपको मिलेंगे ऑल इंडिया रैंकिंग यानी कि AIR रैंक इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्मार्ट एनालिटिक रिपोर्ट. स्टडी प्लान्स पे प्रोवाइड कर चुके हैं तो अगर आप NDA 2 2022 के लिए तैयारी करना चाहते हैं तो हमारे स्टडी प्लान्स को जरूर फॉलो कर ले. और सिर्फ NDA नहीं बाकी सारे एग्जाम्स के लिए ही स्टडी प्लान्स हमने कोर्सेज के अंदर प्रोवाइड करके रखे. लाइव क्लासेस ऑब्वियसली यू गाइस आर अटेंडिंग एंड वी गोइंग टू अटेंड मोर लाइव क्लासेस so that you can practice and prepare in a much better way for your coming examination. आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं हमारे पास बेस्ट सेलिंग कोर्सेज अवेलेबल है. ये बस कुछ ही कोर्सेज में दिखा पा रही हूँ, बाकी आपको आपके अंदर मिल जाएगा. और अगर आपने अभी तक मॉक टेस्ट की प्रैक्टिस करना स्टार्ट नहीं किए हैं तो वी हैव मॉक टेस्ट सीरीज फॉर यू. You can get yourself enrolled into NDA 2022 mock test series and start practicing mock tests one after the other. Last but not the least thing to remember is to use the code WARRIOR10 while getting yourself enrolled into any course or test series जिससे आपको 10% का डिस्काउंट मिल सकता है. So guys, I hope that this introduction is quite brief and now we will be starting with the comprehension topic now. तो डायरेक्शंस कुछ इस तरह रहेंगे. देखो, 2 पैटर्न के क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं. एक ऐसा आ सकता है कि जहाँ पे आपको एक लॉन्ग पैसेज मिलेगा जिससे आपको 10 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. ओके, और एक हो सकता है 2 शॉर्ट पैसेजेस मिलेंगे और हर एक पैसेज में 5 क्वेश्चंस रहेंगे. तो टोटल यू हैव टू अगेन सॉल्व 10 क्वेश्चंस, 5 ईच फॉर ईच पैसेज. ठीक है, तो जो भी हो 10 क्वेश्चंस का ही ट्रेंड चल रहा है अभी UPSC वालों का. तो दैट इज व्हाई दे विल गिव यू 10 क्वेश्चंस इफ द क्वेश्चंस आर कमिंग फ्रॉम कॉम्प्रिहेंशन टॉपिक. तो पहले आपको पैसेज पढ़ लेना है, उसके बाद क्वेश्चंस का जो आंसर है वो करना है। और एक चीज मैं आपको बता देती हूँ, डू नॉट यूज योर ओन नॉलेज, ओपिनियन और इन्फॉर्मेशन व्हेन यू आर आंसरिंग क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम अ पर्टिकुलर पैसेज। अगर आपको कितना भी नॉलेज क्यों ना हो, अगर पैसेज उस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक पे लिखा है तो आपको आंसर करना होगा जो पैसेज में लिखा है, वो नहीं जो आप जानते हैं। So let's start with the passages now. We will be starting with the previous year's questions and then we will move on to the general practice questions. In the meantime, guys, please join quickly. We're going to start with the first question, the first passage here. And in the meantime, you guys can like and share the session with others as well. Okay, guys. So here is the passage. Let's read it. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. For ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. To spend too much time in studies is sloth, to use them too much for ornament is affectation, to make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. They perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study, and studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. Crafty men condemn studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them, for they teach not their own use, but that is a wisdom without them and above them won by observation. Read not to contradict and confute, nor to believe and take for granted, nor to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. Now this passage came in on NDA 2 2019. Let me also make this clear, guys. Comprehension recent years में नहीं आया है. That is, it neither came in 2020 or in 2021. But that does not mean that it will not come in your NDA 1 2022 exam. It may or may not come. तो अगर आप स्किप करना चाहते कर सकते, बट इट्स अ वेरी इजी टॉपिक, ठीक है. सो आई वुड रिकमेंड नॉट टू स्किप इट, बिकॉज आपको टेक्निकली क्वेश्चन पैसेज पढ़ना है और क्वेश्चंस के आंसर करना है. दिस पैसेज आई बिलीव इज अ बिट एडवांस लेवल, क्योंकि ये बहुत ही जो लेखक है, जो ऑथर है, वो थोड़ा एडवांस किस्म का लेखक है. एंड आई डोंट थिंक दैट पीपल who do not have so much knowledge in English can be able to understand. But we will try to find out the answers from the questions about how much we have understood. Passage basically studies, पढ़ाई के बारे में बात हो रही है, and the different advantages and disadvantages of studies. So let's start with the first question, guys. According to the author, why should one study? To gather information about the world, to pass the time in a creative way, for pleasure, enhanced capability and holistic growth, to become only worldly wise. I can understand what your question is, Siddharth. Obviously, in English portion, they will give you 50 questions and you have to attend all of them. There is no choice. Okay, so the answer will be option C, for pleasure, enhanced capability and holistic growth. So if you go back to the passage here, it is written in the very first statement, studies serve for delight, that is for enjoyment, for ornament, that is for decorating your words and sentences, and for ability. So this is what is being described as pleasure, enhanced capability and holistic growth. So therefore your answer is option C. Very good. Moving on to the second question. Why does the author not recommend too much of studies? ज़्यादा पढ़ाई करने के लिए author क्यों नहीं recommend कर रहे हैं? Because it reflects idleness, means laziness, because it requires too much money, because it is dangerous for the health of the mind, because it makes men crafty. Okay guys, the answer will be option A, because it reflects idleness. तो अगर आप passage में वापस जाते हो, it is written here, to spend too much time in studies is sloth. Sloth means being lazy or idle. So therefore, your answer here will be option A, right? Very good, everyone. Moving on to the next question. According to the author, how can the studies be perfected? By reflection, by application, by conversation, by experience. Reflection means thinking. How can the studies be perfected? Okay, time's up, guys. Answer will be by experience. So option D will be your answer. So if you again go back here, It is written here, they perfect nature and are perfected by experience. They mean studies. Studies make your natures, that is your personality, perfect, and again your experience perfect them. Okay, so therefore your answer here will be option D, by experience. Right? Very good, Shaurya, and also Abhishek. Right. Next question. Which kind of human beings denounce studies? Denounce means condemn, don't like the studies. What kind of human beings? Innocent, cunning, stupid, wise. No, Siddharth, if you are answering any question incorrectly, then around 1/3 of your marks will get deducted. Okay, you will have a negative marking. Okay, which kind of human beings denounce studies? The answer will be option B, cunning. Okay, option B, right? So if you go back to the passage here, it is written here that crafty men condemn studies. Crafty मतलब जो shrewd होते हैं, थोड़ा perceptive, deceptive होते हैं, ये जो मतलब fraudulent होता है, they don't like studies. Okay, they condemn them. So therefore option B will be your correct answer. Okay. And moving on to the last question. According to the author, one should read to, why one should read? To only argue, to only believe, to evaluate and understand, or to preach and believe. Okay, the answer will be option C, to evaluate and understand. So if you again go back to the passage, at the very last sentence it is written, read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. That means to assess and then consider, to evaluate and then consider or understand. So therefore option C will be your correct answer, right? Very good. शौर्य, पीयूष, दर्शन. ठीक है, चलो, तो ये था फर्स्ट हमारा पैसेज. सेकंड पैसेज की ओर बढ़ते हैं. ये भी प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्वेश्चन से है. सो वी विल रीड द पैसेज. ओके, इट्स एन इजी वन. सो लेट्स रीड. I do not wish to suggest that because we were one nation, we had no differences. But it is submitted that our leading men traveled throughout India either on foot or in bullock carts. They learned one another's languages and there was no aloofness amongst them. Aloofness means difference. What do you think could have been the intention of those far-seeing ancestors of ours who established Setu Bandha Rameshwar in the south, Jagannath in the east, and Haridwar in the north as places of pilgrimage? You will admit they were no fools. They knew that worship of God could have been performed just as well at home. They taught us that those whose hearts were aglow with righteousness had the Ganges in their own house. But they saw that India was one undivided land, so made by nature. They therefore argued that it must be one nation. Arguing thus, they established holy places in various parts of India and fired the people with an idea of nationality in a manner unknown in other parts of the world. And we Indians are one as no two Englishmen are. Only you and I and others who consider ourselves civilized and superior persons imagine that we are many nations. It was after the advent of railways that we began to believe in distinctions. And you are at liberty now to say that it is through the railways that we are beginning to abolish these distinctions. An opium eater may argue the advantage of opium eating from the fact that he began to understand the evil of the opium habit after having eaten it. I would ask you to consider well what I had said on the railways. So you can see this passage came in NDA 1 2019. Okay. Cunning means shrewd, Anish. Shrewd. ठीक है. तो ये जो कॉम्प्रीहेंशन का पैसेज था ये NDA 1 2019 में आया था, आप देख सकते हैं. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली जो लेखक है वो बात कर रहे कि इंडिया के डिफरेंट पार्ट्स में रिलीजियस पिलग्रिमेजेस जो हमारे एंसेस्टर्स ने एस्टैब्लिश किए वो क्यों किया है, द यूनिटी ऑफ इंडिया एंड सो ऑन. ठीक है, एज वन नेशन. सो इट्स टॉकिंग अबाउट आवर ओन कंट्री ओनली. इट्स एन ईजी वन एज कम्पेयर टू द लास्ट पैसेज. तो अगर आपने लास्ट पैसेज के वक्त नहीं थे, अगर आप ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं तो लाइक कर दीजिए सेशन को और शेयर कर दीजिए. और चलिए हमारे साथ क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने के लिए. ठीक है, so we're going to start with the first question from this passage. According to the author, India has never been one nation, has been an aggregate of several nations, has always been one nation along with differences, became a nation after the British came. क्या होगा आंसर इसका? It will be option C. According to the author, India has always been one nation along with differences. यानी कि यहाँ पे फर्स्ट सेंटेंस में देखो क्या लिख रहा है, we were one nation, but it is not that we had no differences. That means what the author wanted to say is that we were always been one nation along with differences. So therefore, option C will be your correct answer. Very good. Shaurya, Anish, Piyush, Vidhi. चलो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की ओर बढ़ते हैं. Why did the great sages of India establish pilgrimages in the different corners of the country? Because they wanted to push people to travel to different places, because they could observe the underlying unity of the country as made by nature, because they themselves had traveled to these places, because they wanted people to be religious everywhere. भारत के सारे कोने में क्यों pilgrimage centers बनाए? What will be the answer? Okay, answer is option B, because they could observe the underlying unity of the country as made by nature. तो अगर आप पैसेज में वापस जाओगे, it is written here that they saw that India was one undivided land so made by nature. That is why they established the religious centers in different parts of the country. So option B, very good. Anish, Shivani, very good. Vidhi, option B आपका आंसर है. Next question. In the passage, the author's attitude towards the railways is, रेलवेज के बारे में उन्होंने ये कहा है कि रेलवेज की वजह से डिस्टिंक्शंस आई है और अभी ये रेलवेज की वजह से डिस्टिंक्शंस खत्म होने वाली है. तो किस तरह का एटीट्यूड दिखाई दे रहा है उनका? क्रिटिकल, सिंपैथेटिक, इनडिफरेंट, अपैथेटिक. When you are sympathetic, you're feeling sad with that thing. If you're indifferent, you are not cared about it at all. And apathetic is also same in being indifferent. So what will be the answer? Option A. He is being critical, because he said that before the railways, there was no distinction between superior and inferior class. But with the advent of railways, distinction started to come in, right? So that is why the author's attitude towards the railways is a bit critical. Piyush, the screen is quite clear, I can see. I hope कि आपका network जो है वो अच्छा है, because sometimes the network problem is there and you can be a bit, the resolution of the videos is not very clear. You can check your network. Okay, moving on to the next question. What does the author mean when he says that whose hearts were aglow with righteousness had the Ganges in their own homes? One need not visit the Ganges to take holy bath. The Ganges has been polluted, so one should bath at home. One should take a holy dip in the Ganges to purify one's heart. The purity of heart is superior to observance of any ritual. So I can show you the sentence in the passage. It's written that they knew that worship of God could have been performed just as well at home. They taught us that those whose hearts were aglow with righteousness had the Ganges in their own homes. So what do you think the author wanted to mean by it? Very good, Shaurya. Absolutely. That purity of heart is the utmost thing to consider, not even bathing in Ganges. If you are pure and completely innocent, completely, very righteous in your heart, then you need not go to the Ganges. The Ganges will flow in your own home, right? So option D will be your correct answer. Moving to the last question of this passage. The paragraph is written in a, now how is the passage written? In a dialogic style, in a prescriptive style, in a descriptive style, or in an analytical style? Dialogic style means when you can say conversation, as if someone is speaking to you, or some kind of conversation going between two persons. Prescriptive style is just like a doctor's prescription. He suggests you medicine. So here the passage could have been, where the author is prescribing what to do, what not to do. Descriptive style is describing something. Analytical style is someone who's evaluating, assessing, giving critical evaluation or review of something. So here the most important style that the passage has observed is option C, which is descriptive style. It's written in complete descriptive way, एनालिटिकल नहीं होगा विधि दर्शन। एनालिटिकल का मतलब है अगर आप कोई चीज़ को लेके बहुत ज़्यादा तोल मोल कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे इसको लेके, इस पर्टिकुलर हमारे कंट्री को लेके या फिर हमारे रिलीजियस सेंटर्स, डिफरेंट स्टेजेस वगैरह, यूनिटी ऑफ द कंट्री, इनको लेके कोई तोल मोल नहीं हुआ है। इट्स जस्ट अ ब्रीफ डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ इट, राइट? सो इट्स इन डिस्क्रिप्टिव स्टाइल। ओके, ऑप्शन सी इज योर आंसर। Now we will move on to the next part of the passage. The next passage also previous year. तो इससे पहले हम लोग नेक्स्ट पैसेज में मूव करें गाइस, प्लीज ज्वाइन एंड लाइक एंड शेयर द सेशन बिकॉज वी आर डिस्कसिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम कॉम्प्रिहेंशन। और आज लास्ट क्लास होगा एनडीए का, ठीक है? तो रिविजन के बारे में बता रही हूँ, तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आज का क्लास अटेंड करना। सो एनडीए एग्जाम ऑनलाइन कोर्स 2022 है हमारे पास, एक कोर्स है जिससे आप अपना प्रिपरेशन कर सकते हैं, स्पेशली जो लोग एनडीए 2 2022 के लिए प्रिपेयर करना चाहते हैं। इनफैक्ट अगर आप नेक्स्ट ईयर एनडीए के लिए भी प्रिपेयर करना चाहते हैं तो आप ये कोर्स इनरोल हो सकते हैं। और इस कोर्स में आपको एनडीए के जितने भी सब्जेक्ट्स से क्वेश्चंस आते हैं उनके लेक्चर्स, पीडीएफ, स्टडी मटेरियल, सैम्पल प्रैक्टिस, क्यूएनए, क्विजेस, प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्यूएनए प्रैक्टिसेस वगैरह मिलेंगे जिससे आप प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं। तो चलिए चलते हैं नेक्स्ट वाले पैसेज पे, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग और फनी पैसेज है, तो लेट्स स्टार्ट। Now, ladies and gentlemen, said the conjurer. Conjurer means magician. Having shown you that the cloth is absolutely empty, I will proceed to take from it a bowl of goldfish. Presto! All around the hall, people were saying, "Oh, how wonderful! How does he do it?" But the quick man on the front seat said in a big whisper to the people near him, "He had it up his sleeve." Then the people nodded brightly at the quick man and said, "Oh, of course," and everybody whispered round the hall, "He had it up his sleeve." "My next trick," said the conjurer, "is the famous Hindustani rings. You will notice that the rings are apparently separate. At a blow, they all join. Clang, clang, clang. Presto! There was a general buzz of stupefaction. Stupefaction means wonder. Till the quick man was heard to whisper, "He must have had another lot up his sleeve." And again everybody nodded and whispered, "The rings were up his sleeve." The brow of the conjurer was clouded with a gathering frown. Frown means like this, when you're very irritated. You put your brows together, so that's frown. "I will now," he continued, "show you a most amusing trick by which I am enabled to take any number of eggs from a hat. Will some gentleman kindly lend me his hat?" "Ah, thank you." Presto! He extracted 17 eggs, and for 35 seconds the audience began to think that he was wonderful. Then the quick man whispered along the front bench, "He has a hen up his sleeve," and all the people whispered it on. "He has a lot of hens up his sleeve." The egg trick was ruined. It went on like that all through. It transpired from the whispers of the quick man that the conjurer must have concealed up his sleeve, in addition to the rings, hens and fish, several packs of cards, a loaf of bread, a doll's cradle, a live guinea pig, a 50-cent piece and a rocking chair. Very funny story, है ना? So this passage came in NDA 2 2018, right? आप देख सकते हैं। ओके राजेश, जितने भी लाइव क्लास के पीडीएफ हो रहे हैं हमारे ऐप के अंदर आपको मिल जाएंगे। तो आपको क्या करना है, हमारे एनडीए एग्जाम ऑनलाइन कोर्स 2022 एनरोल करना है। पहले हमारे ऐप को डाउनलोड कर लीजिएगा फ्रॉम द गूगल प्ले स्टोर, SSBCrack Exams Learning ऐप। इसका लिंक भी आपको नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में मिल जाएगा, वहाँ से भी आप डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं हमारे ऐप को। और ऐप के अंदर जाके आपको एनडीए के कोर्स को एनरोल होना पड़ेगा। कोर्स के अंदर आपको एक सेक्शन मिलेगा NDA 1 2022 एग्जाम लाइव क्लास एंड आंसर की के नाम से। उस सेक्शन में जाके आपको सारे लाइव क्लासेस मिलेंगे। वहाँ पे अगर आपने कोई प्रीवियस लाइव क्लासेस मिस किए हो तो वो भी आप देख पाएंगे वहाँ, और उनके सारे पीडीएफ मटेरियल्स भी आपको ऐप के अंदर मिल जाएंगे जो आप डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। ओके राइट, सो दिस वाज अ वेरी फनी स्टोरी। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन। द ब्राउ ऑफ द कंज्यूरर वाज क्लाउडेड विद अ गैदरिंग फ्राउन. द सेंटेंस मीन्स दैट द कंज्यूरर was very pleased, was very sad, was rather angry, was very afraid. बताओ जल्दी से, बहुत सिंपल वाला एक पैसेज था। Okay, the answer is he was very irritated. That means he was rather angry because the quick man was ruining all his tricks. Right? So option C will be your answer. Next question. The egg trick was ruined. This means that eggs were all broken. People were unconvinced. Conjurer was disappointed. The trick could not be performed. Absolutely sure you're with you, Shivani. C. Okay. So he produced 17 eggs from a hat of another gentleman, but the whole crowd was unconvinced because the quick man said that he had a hen up his sleeve, right? So therefore your answer will be option B. People were unconvinced and therefore the egg trick was ruined. Okay. So option B have the answer. Next question dekho. According to the quick man, the conjurer had everything bought for production, produced things with the magic he knew, had things in the large sleeves of his coat, created an illusion of things with his magic. What was the quick man saying to the audience the entire time? That he had everything under his sleeve. So therefore answer will be option C. He had things in the large sleeves of his coat. That is what the claims of the quick man was. So option C will be your correct option. Next question. The author believes that the quick man was really, अब ये author का opinion है. तो पूरे passage पढ़ के आपको क्या लग रहा है? That the quick man was really foolish, clever, wrong or right. वो असल में क्या था? Foolish, clever, wrong or right? The answer will be option A. सबको बेवकूफ़ी लगा ना? Because he was ruining everybody's, the magician's tricks. He was also ruining everybody's, attention, everybody's entertainment as well. So actually he was trying to show that he was very clever, but he was foolish because it was not possible for the magician to produce everything from his sleeves, even a rocking chair, right? So actually he was really foolish. Moving on to the next question. And this is the last one. The conjurer extracted 17 eggs from the hat of the quick man, his own, one gentleman from the audience, none of the above. So just remember, he took the hat from whom? Was it his own hat, or was it the quick man's hat, or was it the hat of any gentleman from the audience? Rishi, if you have any question regarding the examination pattern or anything, you can just call it the number that you can see on the screen, right? You can call it that number and our defense counselor can take up your call and answer your query. Please do not spam the chat section. Okay, so the answer here will be option C, one gentleman from the audience. One gentleman, he asked for a hat, one gentleman presented him with his own hat, right? So option C is your answer. It was a very easy, simple comprehension, I believe. Now we will move on to the next passage, also a previous year question. So let's read it also. Now this is a conversation, okay, between two people, Magda and Mrs. Smiles. So let's start. Magda, good morning, Mrs. Smiles. It's wet, isn't it? Mrs. Smiles, yes it is, isn't it? How are you today? All right. You haven't been studying too hard, have you? You look a bit pale. Magda, I don't, do I? Well, I haven't been out much lately. I don't like this weather a bit. Why? We haven't had a dry day for weeks, have we? Mrs. Smiles, no, I don't think we have. Let's see. You'll be going back home next month, won't you? Magda, oh no, I'm not going back yet. My sister's coming over first. Mrs. Smiles, oh, is she? You're looking forward to that, I expect. How long is it since you saw her? Magda, nearly a year now. Yes, I'm looking forward to it very much. Mrs. Smiles, she's coming over here to study? Magda, yes, that's right. I shan't go back home until she's settled down. I don't think I ought to, ought I? Mrs. Smiles, well, no. She's younger than you are, is she? Magda, yes, she's only 18. So here you can see that two people are conversing. It's a whole dialogue, very easy one. I hope everybody understood what they're talking about. And it's a passage which came in NDA 2 2018. So let's start with the questions. This is the first question. Magda had not been out much lately because she had not been keeping well. She was busy with her studies. The weather had been unpleasant. Her sister had come over to stay. Why she was not out lately? Okay, the answer will be option C. The weather had been unpleasant. So if you go in the passage, you can see Magda is saying, I haven't been out much lately. I don't like this weather a bit because it's been raining. You can see it's wet, they're talking. They haven't had a dry day for weeks. That means it's raining for a week, right? So for weeks. So therefore your answer will be option C. Because the weather was unpleasant, it was raining and she didn't like the weather much. That is why she didn't came out much lately, right? So option C is your answer. Next question. Magda was not going back home yet because it had been raining heavily, her sister was coming over, her studies were not completed, she was not feeling well. मैग्डा को घर जाना था नेक्स्ट मंथ पर वो नहीं जा रही है. क्यों नहीं जा रही? बिकॉज हर सिस्टर वॉज कमिंग ओवर. राइट. तो आंसर होगा आपका ऑप्शन बी. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप फिर से वापस जाओगे पैसेज में तो यहाँ पे मिसेस माइल्स पूछ रही है यू विल बी गोइंग बैक होम नेक्स्ट मंथ वोंट यू. सो मैग्डा इज सेइंग ओह नो आई एम नॉट गोइंग बैक येट, माई सिस्टर्स कमिंग ओवर फर्स्ट. तो उनका सिस्टर आ रहा है, दैट्स वाई आ रही है, दैट्स वाई शी इज नॉट गोइंग बैक होम. सो ऑप्शन बी विल बी योर करेक्ट आंसर. आई थिंक एवरीबडी हैज मार्क्ड द राइट आंसर. Next question. Mrs. Miles says, you are looking forward to that. This means Magda was dash her sister's arrival. Magda was expecting with pleasure her sister's arrival. Magda was preparing hard for her sister's arrival. Magda was thinking greatly about her sister's arrival. Or Magda was watching with joy her sister's arrival. तो अगर आप बेसब्री से अपनी बहन की इंतजार कर रहे हैं कि वो कब आएगी, what are you doing? You are expecting with pleasure, है ना. So option A will be your correct answer. You are expecting with pleasure that her sister's arrival. Okay, so option A will be your correct answer. Next question. Magda's sister was coming to. Now why was Magda's sister coming? She was coming to visit her sister, to help Mrs. Miles, to settle down in England, or to pursue her studies. It's clearly written in the passage that she is coming to study. So therefore option D will be your correct answer. So if you again go back to the passage here, you can see Mrs. Miles asking, she's coming over here to study, and Magda is saying, yes, that's right. Okay. So therefore this means that she is coming over to pursue her studies, which is option D. Moving on to the last question. Mrs. Miles and Magda are, now after going through the conversation, what do you think they are? Classmates, school friends, neighbors, sisters-in-law. Now here Magda is addressing Mrs. Miles as Mrs. Miles. So Mrs. Miles therefore must be older to Magda, much older. Therefore they cannot be classmates or school friends or sisters-in-law. They are basically neighbors. Maybe they're living just next to each other's house. So option C will be your correct answer. Yes? Okay, so that was lovely. Now we will proceed on to the general practice questions. So इससे पहले मैं next passage पे जाऊँ, I'm going to show you about SSB interview online course that we have for you. So basically after taking your NDA 1 2022 exam, you must be all chilling a bit, that's fine. But also make sure that you are also starting to prepare for your SSB interview, which will be the next step to cross if you want to achieve your goals. So here in this course, you will find all the testing procedures of SSB interview being, in detailed given to you with full-fledged lectures, PDF materials, as well as practices. Not only that, अगर आप ये course join करते हैं, तो हर रोज हमारे SSB interview के लिए live classes होते हैं, जहाँ पे आप interact कर सकते हैं और join कर सकते हैं. ओके, चलो तो नेक्स्ट पैसेज पे हम लोग चलते हैं. अगर आप लोगों ने अभी तक लाइव क्लास को, इस पर्टिकुलर लाइव क्लास को लाइक या शेयर नहीं किया है तो प्लीज लाइक और शेयर दोनों कर दीजिएगा. ओके, सो द नेक्स्ट पैसेज इज हियर and let's read it. It's a bit longer passage, so you have to be with me, otherwise you can miss out very important details in between. Okay, a close look at the facts relating to political interference in administration shows that it is not a one-way process. There is often a nexus, that means what should I say, agreement, kind of collaboration between power-hungry and corrupt politicians and civil servants with convenient principles. Many civil servants are only too anxious to oblige the politicians and then cash the obligation when they need some special favor. So the attitude of self-righteousness adopted by the civil service is sometimes only a way of covering their own flaws by blaming others. Every now and then, some retired civil servants come out with his memoirs, painting a glorious picture of the heights of administrative efficiency reached during his reign. There is often the suggestion that had there not been so much political interference, things would have been even more fantastic. It is not unusual for the self-styled hero to blame not only interfering politicians but also fellow civil servants who were idiots or crooks for his failures. This attitude of smug self-satisfaction is unfortunately developed during the years of service. Self-preservation rather than service is encouraged by our whole system of rules and procedures. The remedy has to be drastic and quickly effective. The overprotection now granted to civil servants must end. Today, to remove an erring civil servant is just not possible, and the only thing that the highest authority in the government, both in the state and at the center, can do is to transfer an official from one job to another. The rules for taking disciplinary action are so complicated that in the end, the defaulting civil servant gets away and gets his full emoluments even for the period of the disciplinary proceedings, thus making it a paid holiday for him. The result is that the administration has become rule-oriented and not result-oriented. Action is possible against the official who takes some interest in his work, but no action is ever taken against a person who does not deliver the goods. If the country is to adopt a result-oriented approach, it is necessary to link job performance with job retention. I hope it is understood. It's the passage is talking about the civil service and how the corrupt civil servants and how the system is as such that we cannot punish a civil servant who is a wrongdoer, right? So all these things have been discussed in the passage. Now we are going to start with the first question from it. The facts relating to the problem of political interference indicate that honest bureaucrats are always being troubled by politicians. Politicians are often misled and trapped by civil servants. Politicians and civil servants cooperate to gain mutual advantages. Politicians and civil servants use interference as an excuse for victimizing the common man. It is written very clearly in the first part of the passage that there is often a nexus, that means collaboration between power-hungry and corrupt politicians and civil servants with convenient principles. So therefore, the answer will be option C. Politicians and civil servants cooperate to gain mutual advantages. Okay, they favor one another. Okay, so option C will be a correct answer. Very good, Shaurya. Okay, next question. The attitude of self-righteousness adopted by the civil service, according to the writer, is not welcomed and supported by politicians, is dishonest and conceals the facts, is very difficult to maintain because of opposition, does not really help the public get fair treatment. Okay, so if you go back to the passage here, it is very, very clearly written, the attitude of self-righteousness adopted by the civil service is sometimes only a way of covering their own flaws by blaming others, right? So what will be the answer here? It will be option B. It is dishonest and conceals the facts. It hides the facts. So option B is your answer. Very good. Shaurya, Karan, Abhishek. Moving on to the next question. Civil servants who write their memoirs after retiring claim that they would have achieved outstanding success if interference had not come in the way, prove that constant political interference made it impossible for them to do anything properly, complain that the credit for their achievements goes to dishonest politicians, prove that people of inferior quality in the civil service bring about interference. It's talking about civil servants who write their memoirs after retiring, right? So if you again go back to the passage, it is written here very clearly, every now and then some retired civil servants come out with his memoirs, painting a glorious picture of the heights of administrative efficiency reached during his reign. There is often the suggestion that had there not been so much political interference, things would have been even more fantastic, right? So what will be your answer? It will be option A. Civil servants who write their memoirs after retiring claim that they would have achieved outstanding success if there had been less political interference, right? So option A would be your correct answer. Okay, next question. The existing system of administration seems to encourage civil servants to become self-styled heroes and boss over others. Excuse me, guys. to present a glorious picture of the administration, to become self-centered and concerned mainly about their own gain, to become self-righteous and fight back against corrupt politicians. It's being also talked about the existing system of administration. How do they encourage civil servants? If you go back here again, you will get it. Self-preservation rather than service is encouraged by your whole system of rules and procedures. So first save yourself and then you follow the service, then you do your service. So this is what it is all about. So what is the existing system of administration? Encourage civil servants to do? To become self-centered, self-preservation. So to become self-centered and concerned mainly about their own gain. So option C will be your correct answer. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. The problem with the present setup needing urgent action is a lack of accountability on the part of civil service. So what is that problem which needs urgent attention? A lack of accountability on the part of civil servants, a lack of control over the power of politicians, a neglect of the ideals of self-righteousness, complicated rules and procedures that greatly reduce efficiency. What is that problem which needs urgent action? So if you go back here again in the passage, it is written, the overprotection now granted to civil servants must end. So this is what it has to be drastic and quickly effective. So here again, your answer will be option A. That is a lack of accountability, a lack of responsibility that on the part of civil service. So they are not responsible for anything. Okay, so they do their own work and they go. They are not responsible for anything else. So this has to be completely done away with. So option A will be your correct answer. Okay. Moving to the next question. The main principle of the remedy proposed by the writer is, what is the main principle of the remedy that needs to be applied? The politicians should be made accountable for all their decisions. The high level of protection enjoyed by civil servants should be reduced. The common man's right to efficient and fair administration must be protected. Rules should be simplified so that there is less scope for misuse. What is the main principle of remedy? Just now we have gone through that sentence. It should be option B. The overprotection, the high level of protection that is given to the civil servants must end. Right? So option B will be your correct answer. Okay. Next question. According to existing procedures, if a civil servant is found to be unsuitable or dishonest, he can appeal to an authority like the Supreme Court. Politicians with whom he has special links will interfere to help him. Transferring him to another post is the usual action taken. A conflict between central government and state government interests can arise. Okay, the answer will be option C. Transferring him to another post is the usual action taken. So again, if you go back to the passage, it is written here that today to remove an erring civil servant is just not possible. And the only thing that the highest authority in the government, both state and in center, can do is to transfer an official from one job to another. That is the highest kind of punishment that they can give to a wrongdoer. Okay, a civil servant who is wrong. So therefore, the answer will be option C. Transferring him to another post is the usual action taken. Okay, so option C will be your correct answer. Moving on to the next question now. The writer refers to a paid holiday to support his argument that civil servants get a lot of extra benefits. Disciplinary action is generally not quick or effective. Lazy and inefficient bureaucrats seem to be on holiday even when on duty. Special postings that favored civil servants are unnecessary and wasteful. Why does the author use this phrase, a paid holiday? In what context? So you have to tell me that. If you go back to the passage, you'll find out there is a paid holiday. The rules for taking disciplinary action are so complicated that in the end, the defaulting civil servant gets away and gets his full emoluments, that is his full salary, even for the period of the disciplinary proceedings, thus making it a paid holiday for him. Okay. So what is the author talking about here when he said a paid holiday? It meant that disciplinary action is generally not quick or effective. It is so complicated, it takes a lot of time, and at the end when he is getting rid of all the disciplinary actions, what is done here, basically he gets all the payment for all the time that the disciplinary actions were going against him. So basically it's a paid holiday for him because he's getting paid it ultimately. So that's what they meant by this paid holiday, right? Moving on to the next question, the expression linking job performance with job retention. This is there at the very end of the passage. Linking job performance with job retention refers to a policy in which selection to civil service jobs is on the basis of rigorous performance tests. Selection to civil service jobs is on the basis of rigorous performance and not a minister's opinions is the basis of transfer or promotion. Retention of good government servants by discouraging their going to private companies. Continuation in service will depend on satisfactory performance. You have to just describe this particular phrase. Just a minute, guys. You can start answering. I can just reading it. Okay, so the answer here is option D. Yes, absolutely, guys. You have answered it all correctly. It is option D. The policy says that in order to retain your job, retention means retain, keeping. Okay, in order to keep your job, you have to show your performance. So you have to be very good in your performance of job. So continuation in service only depend on your satisfactory performance. Yes, so option D is your correct answer. Moving to the next question, this is the last one. The expression deliver the goods means show good job performance, accept bribes or other illegal favors, make payments of black money as bribes, successfully defend oneself against a charge in a disciplinary inquiry. So I think now I am visible. I don't think now there is any issue with it. Okay, I think there was some technical something, my system just crashed down. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, this was the question, right? The expression deliver the goods means. So it basically means option A, show good job performance. Okay, so that is what deliver the goods. That means that you are giving what you are being promised to do. So you are showing good job performance. So option A will be your correct answer, right? So time is quite it's up. Okay, now you have to wait for Prashant sir's maths class, which is going to come up next. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give you a homework passage. Okay, so this is the passage. Everyone start taking a screenshot. Okay, so this is the passage, everyone. Please take a screenshot fast, and then I'll give you questions so you can just practice the questions, solve them yourselves for your homework. Okay. So I'm going to also tell you how you can get the PDF for this particular session, and you need to check the answers of the homework question also from that particular PDF. So for that you need to get yourself enrolled to NDA exam online course 2022, and here you'll get a section called NDA 1 2022 exam live class and answer key. So in this section you'll get all the PDF materials for all classes, not only for English but for all classes, for all subjects. So here in today's PDF you will get all the questions that we have solved in the class, and also you'll get the answers of the homework question. Okay, so I'm going to show you the passage once more. So this is the passage. Take a screenshot, and this is the first question from the passage. So take a screenshot of it. Let's not take much time. This was the first question. Here you go. The second one. The second question. Take a screenshot. Okay. Moving on to the third one. Third question. Take a screenshot. Moving on to the fourth one. Question number 4. Take a screenshot. Don't give me answers here. Amna, please don't give homework questions answers in the chat section. Solve them yourselves. Okay. This is the last question. Fifth one. Take a screenshot. Okay. So you'll find all the answers in the PDF now, which I'll be uploading after the live class. You can solve them yourself and check the answers. And also, let me also show you, we have the test series, which are mock test sets. So if you have not started, practicing mock tests, please start it, because not many days are left for your exam. It's on Sunday. So you can also take your enrollment into NDA 2022 mock test series and start preparing. And also, last but not the least, do not forget to use the code WARRIOR10. इससे आपको 10% का डिस्काउंट मिलेगा किसी भी कोर्स या फिर टेस्ट सीरीज में. और एक चीज मैं बता देना चाहती हूँ कि आज लास्ट रिविजन क्लास था. कल tomorrow you will not have any class on the NDA 1 2022 revision topics. Okay, you will have Mahamarathon sessions from 4 p.m. onwards on 7th, 8th and 9th of April. Clear? So please come prepared. Practice lots of questions now. Tomorrow I'm giving you the time. Please go through the revisions, practice. Come prepared on 7th, 8th and 9th. Be with us, solve the Mahamarathon questions that we will be bringing for you. So that was it, guys. I wish you all the best. And please wait for Prashant sir's class, which is going to come up next. And you got to practice lots of maths questions for your NDA 1 2022 exam. So everyone, take care. Stay tuned with SSBCrack Exams. Like and share this particular session if you haven't done so. And I will meet you next on 7th of April with a Mahamarathon session. And we will practice lots and lots of English questions, okay, for your Mahamarathon sessions as well. So